knows there's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Livestream. I'm so glad to see you here on a Monday night. Very glad. License to Drive. Glad you're feeling a little better. Sorry you're not feeling much better. Speedy Turtle, FPV. The guy who started the Pay It Forward box in FPV, and now there's more than one. Tack is here. Tack is my nemesis. I don't know why. I just figure everybody needs a nemesis. It might as well be him. Tack's going to make Rotor Riot great again. That's what's going to happen. Tack, I believe in you. Crunked, good to see you, man. Very glad everybody is here. Oh, Flush FPV, I won't. I'm not changing the intro music. Hell no, man. That's my jam right there. That's my jam. 2-Bit Tech says, I'm going to start paying for your Patreon at max levels so you can take some dance lessons. I don't promise to take dance lessons, but I would love you to subscribe to my Patreon at the max level. That's for sure. Welcome to Livestream. Oh, there you go. I don't know why the color is different in the GoPro. It totally is, though. It's got like a... Yeah. It's got like a redder feel. That's more like it. That's what I'm looking for. Whew. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Happy Monday night. We're going to do some Q&A. You're going to ask the Q's, and I'm going to give you the A. I'm being told that it's not funny when I do that. It's just awkward. It's just weird. Fair enough. Oh, Johnny DRC got some new motors for his quad. Oh, Diatone Toka. Where's the actual motors? Hey, Johnny, clean your bench. Yo, what's up, dude? I'm not one to talk. Got them new Toka motors. Nice, nice. Joey Stunts, good to have you here. Good to have you here. Oh, Hero D, thank you so much for joining my Patreon. Very glad you decided to do that. Obviously, because it means that I can continue to pretend that this is a career. Right? Yeah. MPFPV went to his first race and his quad failed on him 3 times. How did it fail, MP? I mean, racing you're gonna figure out what's right. Quad failed on you 3 times. Don't go to a race with 1 quad. That's rule number 1. Ooh, John Goblin. John Goblin. Building a quad. What quad is that? Oh, yeah. Is that Tracer? Is that Express LRS? I don't know. Like those motors. I can't wait till Bob Ruge starts getting Unibells. Like, in my experience, I have 2 quads with these 25 millimeter motors on them, and one of the 8 motors has dropped a bell. Like, the side of the bell drops down and the motor has to be replaced. And I'm not the only one. Bob is taking care of people for whom it happens, but it's not fun when it happens. And he said that they're going to be switching to Unibells, and so that won't happen anymore. In the meantime, I got like 12 of these motors. But they're good motors. I really do like them. Yeah, I really do like them. They're good motors. Somehow he's managed to make a 2506-ish motor that doesn't weigh 40 grams. That's good. That's good. Yeah. In case you're not clear on what I mean, I think the actual quad is like literally right here. Oh, I mean this. This right here. Yeah. It's just slipped down. Oh well. What are you gonna do? Well, you're going to stop flying. That's what you're going to do. John Haven says, I'm putting a 23 millimeter FPV cycle on my new fluoride build. Is it only the 25s that have this problem? Can anybody speak to that? Is it only the 25s that have this problem? Welcome to the live stream, everybody. This is what we're going to do. You're going to ask questions. Boom, like this one from Hazard FPV. GPS is not showing up in Betaflight. Box at the top isn't lit up. Checked all the right tabs. Well, you know, maybe you didn't. Hazard FPV. Let's put you on deck. GPS not showing up in Betaflight. We'll get that question. We're gonna take your questions. We're gonna miss a lot of questions because they come by fast and furious. Too fast and furious for me. So if you want to make sure I get your question, hit the $sign right down here. Leave a super chat. I will be reading those super chats a little later in the stream. And woo, 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 woo. No, that's not the right button. This button. Woo, da. Thank you to the beautiful people in my Discord server over here on the right. These people are my patrons. They subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $2 a month or more. If you feel like I've earned it, you decide the amount, and then you get to feel good knowing that you have made it possible for me to continue pretending this is a career. And you get to spam the live stream with GIFs at the beginning of my stream. And I will pay attention to your questions throughout the stream without you having to... What the... I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. I'm good with that. Oh, alrighty. So let's go. Let's do some questions. That's what we're gonna do. We'll be here for about 2 hours, and I want you to know. I've got like 2.5 hours of Elden Ring playtime, and hold on, how much playtime? Hang on. 3.2 hours of Elden Ring playtime in a week or so since I bought it, and I was tempted to make this an Elden Ring live stream just to give me a chance to play because I've been so busy working for you. And I was like, that's not what they come for. That's not what they come for. Do make your own Elden Ring live stream if you want, but you gotta give the people what they expect. It's a video game, Mike Bergman. It's a new video game that's come out, and so that's what I'm going to be doing. Hazard FPV, GPS is not showing up in beta flight. I checked all the right tabs. Okay, Hazard, here's what you got to do to get the box to light up. What was that? What was that? What was that pop-up right there? I saw a pop-up. No. Okay. Number 1, in the ports tab, you must have GPS sensor enabled for whichever UART you soldered to. UART 2, UART 3, whatever. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, in the configuration tab, you must enable GPS, obviously. And then, you guys can't see what I'm doing, I'm sorry. Good job, Bardwell. In the ports tab, you must enable GPS in the sensor input. You want auto baud. In the configuration tab, enable GPS, set the protocol to uBlocks, and enable auto baud and auto config. Now at that point, you should see the GPS icon light up here at the top of the screen, right? Oh no, my hand doesn't go up that far. Oh well. You should see the GPS icon light up. Okay? And if not, then the most likely scenario is you messed up the wiring. Like you put TX to RX and RX to TX, or sorry, the other way around. You put TX to TX and RX to RX instead of the other way around. You need to swap TX to RX and so forth. Because auto baud and auto config should auto config any uBlocks GPS, and most GPS that you buy today will support uBlocks. Now, Crunk says, I thought there was a reason not to do auto baud. Yes, you're right, Crunk. So the reason not to do auto baud is when you first, it means the GPS will take longer to connect because it has to go through the baud negotiation, the baud searching to find which baud rate the GPS supports. But if you have a GPS that just isn't working, maybe you've got the baud rate wrong, and setting it to uBlocks auto baud auto configure should get it like working, and then you can go from there. Okay? If you know the baud rate, it's better to manually set the baud rate. That is true. Now, Paul McDonald points out Mamba GPS support any NMEA. Many GPS will also support NMEA, but what my understanding from people who are better with GPS than me, like I don't do a lot with GPS, like the iNav guys and the RGPilot guys. My understanding is that uBlocks is better. And one reason uBlocks is better is that it supports auto configuration and auto negotiation, which makes it, you don't have to like flash stuff. So if the chat knows of like a compelling reason to choose NMEA over uBlocks, then let me know. But my understanding is that you generally want uBlocks if the GPS supports it, which basically all modern ESCs do support it. So yeah, at that point, if you do those things and you don't see the GPS icon, now getting the GPS to actually lock satellites is a whole different thing. But if you do those things and you don't see the GPS light up in the beta flight, something else is up. That's the first step. Hazard says, I think the GPS might be faulty. Well, if it is, then try a new GPS is the thing to try. Phantom FPV, good to see you. Good to see you, Phantom. Phantom FPV did something pretty freaking cool. Phantom FPV put out the Ultimate FPV Freestyle Trictionary, where he went through 96 tricks. Now, I want to, Phantom, He put out 96 tricks, but like skateboarding, he had, switch and standard as 2 separate tricks. I guess I see it. People should always work both sides. It's pretty cool though. 96 tricks from basic stuff like front flip, rolls. There's a roll. Going all the way through, his wall ride was pretty freaking good, honestly. Where's the reverse wall ride, though? Wall ride, switch, fakie wall ride. Get some skateboarding terms in here. I don't know what a fakie is. Fakie wall ride. Check this out. Pretty good wall ride. Ren. Swoop. That's a wall ride, but that's a good wall ride. So I think this, first of all, this is pretty cool that he just put all these tricks. In 11 minutes, he's got 96 tricks. And I think the next challenge, that's exactly right, Yorkie Poo. I think the next challenge is to challenge yourself to do all of the tricks in one pack. Now, first of all, is it possible to fly? Like, with one pack, you have like 3, maybe 4 minutes of hard flying. You should be able to do, how many is that per, like, let's say you don't have to do it both left and right. But if you got 4 minutes times 60 seconds is 240 divided by 96, that's 2.5 seconds per trick. I don't think you could do it. Like that, you just couldn't do it. Like you would need like at least, let's say 10 seconds per trick. 10 times 96 divided by 60 is 16 minutes. So one pack, I don't know about one pack. What if you took out like the left and the right and had to do each trick one time, one direction? That's still, you're going to struggle to get all the tricks. Here's the challenge. I've been thinking about making a challenge out of this, Phantom, because I know you love challenges. And then we'll see the first person to post. I'm not saying anything official. I should shut up because people are going to start doing it and then I'll ruin the challenge. I've been thinking about making a challenge. Maybe the challenge should be the person who gets furthest down the list on one pack, successfully executing the tricks, starting from hover. And you see who can get the furthest. And then, like, you have some kind of a prize for the person who gets the furthest. Wouldn't that be cool? I think it's cool. Oh, the trippy spins are exactly where I would die. Exactly where I would die. Phantom, of course, you would, of course, be near the, I mean, you would have to be, like, high up in the list, right? He's like, he's going to start practicing tomorrow. I guarantee you. It's pretty good stuff, man. Tax says I'm out at a hover. Oh man, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Good stuff, Phantom. You could compete. Hell yeah, man. You could compete. Absolutely. I mean, it would be a challenge to figure out the kind of a build. Like, if you were to do it with a 7-inch build, you could actually fly for 15 minutes. But could you do all the tricks? Anyway. Oh. Is it still a trippy spin if you're not revolving around something? Asks Cool Cat. I think you really need an obstacle just to like know. Otherwise, how are you going to even see what you're doing? Vroom Vroom Vacuum Cleaner wants to know, do you have a PID tuning guide for super dummies? No. They're really... Anybody who tells you that PID tuning can be boiled down into something simple that anybody can do, I think they're not being like completely honest with you. And the reason I say that is, obviously you got to start somewhere, and you could take PID tuning, like Chris Rosser and Brian White and Mark Spatz, U of E Tech. Well, Mark Spatz doesn't actually, he's the, of those three, he is the one who is the, like, keeps it more technical. Whereas Brian White's pretty technical too, trying to teach you how to PID toolbox. I guess Chris Rosser is the one who the most tries to like boil it down to something that more people could grasp. I mean, everybody does it to a certain degree. I think Chris is one of the best at it. But all of those guys try to boil it down to something. And me, I have a pit tuning guide. And the thing is that the more you simplify, it's an inherently complex process. And so the more you simplify it, the more gaps there are in the knowledge that will trip you up. And you got to start somewhere. So you got to start with the simple stuff. And they say, raise D gain until you get hot motors. Okay. And then raise P gain until you hear bounce back on flips and rolls. Okay. And then raise I gain until you get a slow bounce back and then reduce it. Oh, that sounds simple. Sure does. Well, it turns out there's like a million other little odds and ends that'll get in your way that you're going to... I keep thinking there's something on my shirt. Sorry. It's just the shirt. There's a billion other things that are going to get in your way, and in reality, it's not going to exactly work exactly like that. So you can try to simplify it, but there isn't any such thing as a PID tuning guide for super dummies. You just have to start somewhere. And like I would start with Chris Rosser's PID tuning guide. That's, I think, a great place to start. So that's going to be this video. Chris Rosser's PID tuning guide. I'm going to paste it in the chat. And that'll get you started. But it's not for super dummies. It's not for super dummies. And if you're a super dummy, you're going to have to watch it 4 or 5 times to try to make it make sense. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. The default PIDs are pretty good for a lot of setups. People feel like they need to get into PID tuning, and you may not. You might not. But if you want to, that's where I would start you. Let's see here. Matthew Allen, very interesting question. What's the best way to secure a 900 megahertz T antenna on a long-range quad without it getting chopped by the props? The problem, Matthew, is that any mounting method that moves the antenna away from the body, like the best case scenario is the antenna is further from the body of the quad, so you have better coverage. Any mounting method that moves the antenna further away from the body makes it more likely to get caught up in the props and chopped, especially if you crash. Now, if you're assuming that what you've got is a long-range quad that isn't going to crash very often, then you could like put the antenna up on a mast or something and get it away from the body. Generally, that's going to be done with some kind of a 3D print, like putting it on top of the GoPro mount, for example. But most people just mount their Crossfire antenna under the frame, and it's less than optimal, and Crossfire has so much damn range it kind of doesn't matter. Siati points out the rear standoff TPU mounts are a simple solution for that. Absolutely. So like if we go to the website yegi.com, it's a 3D print search engine. And if I just search for Crossfire antenna mount, I should find something that will work. Something like what? Here we go. So this is the kind of thing that Siati is referring to. In this case, it's mounting between these rear standoffs, but there are versions of it that just go on the rear standoffs. That's the gist of it, though. Let's see here. We're going to see it on the quad? No. All right. Well, screw you. Oh, here's a good one. This is a very simple one. This is generally... Now, this one I don't like, and I'll tell you why. It's too close to the props. There's no drop. So I like my antenna mounts to have a little bit of drop, so the antenna is, maybe 5 millimeters below the bottom standoffs, below the bottom plate. That way it gets it a little further away from the antennas. But That's how I like to mount it, and it will generally not get chopped up, especially if you're doing a long-range quad. And oh yeah, here we go. Here's an example. That's better. Yeah, so do you see how this puts it down underneath the arms? That's how I like it. And no, that's not the best in terms of I can't open the image. Thanks, Thingiverse. That's not the best in terms of RF coverage, but Crossfire, it kind of doesn't matter. 3 Feet FPV points out that for a long-range quad, you should put it on the front so that when you turn around to come home, it's facing you. Fair? Fair. VoIP Guru 77 says, I've had Tracer for about a year. I'm disappointed and the range has failed me more than once. The ability to turn on Tracer in LoRa gave me hope. Yeah, Trappy said that it would be out in version 6.14. Version 6, Crossfire 6.14. Tracer was going to have LoRa support, which would give it longer range, but slower packet rate. And when people found out that Tracer was going to have LoRa, they were excited. Because sometimes with Tracer, you need more range than it gives you, even at 1 watt output power. You know, you never know. But then they found out that it was going to be at 50 hertz, and they were like, WTF, and didn't like it. And this all went down on a TBS couch live stream, and I think it was pretty annoying. I think Trappy was pretty annoyed at that response. So I hadn't heard this. VoIP Guru says that Trappy has put LoRa for Tracer on the back burner, which wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know if that's true. But yeah, Tracer, I think that when Crossfire protocol can be, which Tracer uses the Crossfire protocol, it just uses it with the different radio modulation. I think when Crossfire gets revamped to be more efficient, which I think it will be. Right now, Crossfire is just like full fat in every packet. And Express LRS and Ghost are doing things to make more efficient use of the bandwidth that's available to them. And that's why they can get, 500 hertz and Tracer doesn't. And they can get more range than Tracer. I think when Crossfire is revamped to be more efficient, then perhaps Tracer, that's when Tracer will release LoRa and have better range and better speed. But for the time being, I think that Tracer is, I've said this, it's of the long range protocols, it's the one that is to me clearly the least capable. And like, if all you ever care about is racing, then Tracer will get the job done. But the problem is that Ghost will also get the job done and be more versatile. Express LRS will also get the job done and be more versatile. In some ways, Crossfire will also get the job done, although only at 150 hertz instead of 250 hertz. But yeah, Tracer is a lot of people are happy with Tracer. They get enough range out of Tracer, especially at that 1 watt output power. Fine, but some people aren't. Some people aren't. There you go. Have I missed any super chats? I don't think we've had a single super chat, but I want to make sure I'm not missing them. Somebody leave a super chat just so I know they're working. A couple of whoa, Death FPV. Are you banging out against Ciati? Don't piss Ciati off. Death FPV, what did you do? Wow. Wow. Death FPV says Flow State documentary update, please. And he's spamming. And then Siadi says, don't do it again. And Death FPV says, who are you to tell me what to do? Death FPV, do you see that his name is Blue? He's a moderator. He is absolutely tagged by me. And unlike some of the people who are tagged as moderators, who I just tag them as moderators because I like to see their name in the chat, like Siadi actually, I mean, anybody, all moderators could choose to moderator, but if Siadi decides to slap you, then I 100% back him. So if he says chill out, chill out. But anyway, I don't want to. Here's the thing. Hang on a second. Dude, what am I doing wrong? What you're doing wrong is spamming the chat too often. That's what. Asking the question, no big deal. Repeatedly asking the question to a point where a mod says, stop it. That's too much. Okay, but let's go ahead and there's also a question in the Discord by Kickmax who says, what about flow state? Okay, so there is a plan. The plan is, and I don't want to, I'm hesitant to talk about it again because I don't want to, the next time I hype the film, I want it to be because I'm telling you where you can see it. I don't want to sort of tease you with dribs and drabs of, we're talking to so-and-so, we're talking to so-and-so, and then nothing comes of it for months and months. I will say there is a deadline in the, I don't want to say when it is. There is a deadline at which I will feel like it's time to take matters into my own hands, and with, of course, James as well, our own hands. And instead of trying to sell the film to streaming services, I will say I think we should find a way to self-publish it. I don't want to say when that deadline is because I don't want to put conditions out there that affect people who, and also might give people expectations that I don't live up to. But I will say that there's a deadline in my mind, and that deadline hasn't come yet. I'm disappointed that it's taken this long to have the film be distributed. I had high hopes that it would be picked up sooner than it has been. And that just is what it is. I know Morton Upshot. Thanks. I'm aware of that. I am the guy with $40,000 sitting there doing nothing. That's what I spent to help make the film. So I am acutely aware that the film has a shelf life and that there is a lot at stake in choosing how to release it. So, that's the status, though. The status is that there is a plan and a process that eventually ends with us taking control and making decisions unilaterally. But that time hasn't come yet. And that's all. All right. Netflix isn't going to pick it up. So Morton Upshot, so we've talked to some people who sell stuff to streaming services, distributors, producers, etc. And what they told us is that the big streaming services, Amazon, Netflix, and Apple, are basically completely uninterested in any project they didn't start. So if you come to Netflix with a major motion picture, I mean, obviously, if you're like Michael Bay, if you're a major studio, that's a different story. But if you come to Netflix with a completed film, essentially, no matter how good the film is, they're not interested because they wanted to be in it from the beginning. So it seems like our chances of getting on the big ones are lower than we hoped that they would be. And we are currently talking to streaming services in the tier of like a Crackle or a Tubi to see what kind of deals they might want to make us. But there you go. Anyway, that's what's up. Yeah, will we get to see it at Rampage, says 3 Feet FPV. If you see it at Rampage, if it's not, Rampage is in May. If it's not released by Rampage, I'll be sad. Because Rampage would be 1 year since we first previewed the edit. That's a long freaking time. But there you go. Anyway. Yep. Alrighty. Oh, there we go. We got some super chats. Thank you guys so much. Let's read super chats. B-Man FPV, thank you for a $2 super chat. VoIP Guru 77, thanks for a $3 super chat. And Dozer FPV, thanks for a $2 super chat. Dumped Tracer for Express LRS last week. Dozer FPV, yeah. The big downside of Ghost, I think, is availability of the hardware, especially in Europe. People say they have trouble getting the hardware. Marco Zizik says, why not just sell it on iTunes? Yeah, I mean, that's fine, but we would like to have it be on a streaming service so people outside the FPV community could run across it. But that's if we hit my drop dead date and we still haven't had it be picked up, then I will be looking at options like iTunes, like YouTube pay-per-view, or whatever else I can think of to try to make it possible for people to see it. Dozer FPV, thanks for $2 super chat. We got you. Alex DeFelice, thanks for a $5 super chat. Question for both JB and the patron live stream chat. What's the best no-fuss 3D printer for TPU? Alex DeFelice. Tell me I'm wrong. I always say the Prusa Mini or the Prusa Mark III. In terms of no fuss. I mean, they're expensive, but if you want to pay money to save time, I think those are the ones. So. That's the one that seems like they've put the most work into making it as simple as possible to get into. The best printer is the one your buddy has. Yes. Ender 3 with an upgraded extruder runs you $350, says Josh House. Yeah, but he said no fuss. Upgrading the extruder is a fuss. Part of the problem is that there's basically no way to be in 3D printing without any fuss. So at some point you might just like say bite the bullet. But you never. I think the Prusa Mark III or the Prusa Mini is the one to go. For FPV stuff, the Prusa Mini can absolutely print anything you need. That's my opinion. Josh House says, if you could fly drones, you can handle the fuss of a 3D printer. Yeah, but I've got 4 drones over there that I need to work on. I don't need to also be troubleshooting my 3D printer. Ordering prints online, pretty freaking expensive. Pretty expensive, though. Death FPV, don't be an asshole about it. I got the answer, though, didn't I? I politely answered your question after you spammed the chat and talked shit to a moderator. Don't punish me for being courteous to you. As it turns out, quite a few wanted to know. The point is not who wants to know. I saw your question. You were spamming the chat. I just hadn't gotten to it yet. Spamming the chat is disruptive and impolite. It doesn't matter how valid the question is. If you're spamming, you're an asshole. And then if a moderator tells you to stop and you go, who the F are you? Then you're twice an asshole. So just back the hell off. Thank you. Oof. Oof. Ooh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I hate it when people bugs me. I got the answer though, didn't I? Oh, I see. You mistook my courtesy for weakness. I will not make that mistake again. Okay. Read in the Wind, thanks for a $5 super chat. James Tan, thank you for 6 MYR. Miguel T, thank you for a $5 super chat. Diatone FC and Flywoo ESCs. Drone flies, but I can't change the ESC rotation or resource assignments. Okay, so first of all, Betaflight ESCs never connect to UARTs. When you say you can't change the ESC rotation or resource assignments, I don't see any reason that you're doing something wrong in trying to remap the ESC. That has to be it. Unfortunately, Miguel, I can't tell you what you're doing wrong because I'm not like looking over your shoulder. But like there's no reason. Changing the resource assignments just is something you do in the flight controller. Bye. Bye. Ooh, crunked. Ha! You beat me to it. Yeah. Miguel, I guess what I would point you towards is my motor remapping tutorial. Betaflight controller, flight controller, and ESC alignment incorrect. This, but the best thing to do is actually to get Betaflight 4.3, which has a wizard to do it automatically. But that's how you do it. Yeah, 4.3 will make it a little easier. Yorkie Poo, thank you for a $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Acro Weeboo says, thank you for the hard work and all the newbie drone love. You should look at Floatplane, the Linus Media Group service. I have a project potentially set up to stream on this service. I am familiar with Floatplane. Floatplane, are they taking new creators? I think you have to apply. We'll see about that. Letilic, thank you for 69 RSD. I don't know what an RSD is, but it's 69 of them. I know I like it. Secondary wants to know. I just ordered a Radiomaster TX12 as my first transmitter. Is it going to be at least a little future-proof as I grow in FPV? Yes. Yeah, any open TX radio will be relatively future-proof. And, I mean, like, the venerable Tyrannus X9D, which is at least 5 or 7 years old, maybe more, still supports Edge TX and still can run all the latest protocols. So, yes, it will be relatively future-proof. Now, you may decide that you outgrow it. Like the TX12 has a little bit smaller form factor, which you may decide you don't like, but it'll keep working. So no worries about that. Yeah. DDOT, thanks for $1. Thanks for $1 Canadian, eh? Really appreciate it. Really appreciate that. Thank you for the Canadian dollar. Virgin FPV, thanks for €2. I discovered the perfect frame. No joke. The solution? I hope he leaves another super chat so we know what the solution is. Read in the Wind wanted to ask a question with a super chat and can't text because he's driving. Well, I appreciate the donation, Read in the Wind. How did you type that message? Mossyfoot FPV wants to know if I've tried the new HD0. What's your input compared to DJI? Mossyfoot, I have not tried the new 1 watt HD0. I have it. It rained all day today. I'm hoping to fly it tomorrow. Phantom FPV wants to know, how do I convince the industry to build a high quality game style controller? I hate to, I mean, you know what the answer is. Do you know what the answer is? It's the same thing that motivates every industry. It's money. It's money. Like the question is, why haven't, I mean, like, you could look at what's out there already. Phantom, I think you fly an X-Lite. I think you fly an X-Lite. Like the question would be, what is it about current controllers that you don't like, and how are you going to make a controller that justifies the investment in R&D to then sell it, right? And I mean, you got to identify the reasons why no one's already doing it, and then you have to solve those problems. You fly the X-Lite Pro, right? So like the thing about the X-Lite, I mean, the X-Lite Pro is pretty good. Let me ask you this, Phantom. I mean, if you really want to sort of get into this, what don't you like about the X-Lite Pro, right? What don't you like about the X-Lite Pro? The Zorro is pretty good. Short battery life. I actually was hanging out with Stingy a little while ago, and he said, I'm looking for a new radio. Stingy said, I'm tired of the Mambo. The gimbals on the Mambo have pissed me off for the last time. And because the gimbals on the Mambo have some issue with not recentering. Same with the Tango. I don't know. I don't fly those radios. But he said, I'm thinking about switching. And so he said, can you bring me like a Radio Master and a Zorro so I can play with them? And he really liked the Zorro in the hand, but the battery life was just a deal breaker for him. So, oh, Phantom says the X-Lite Pro is end of life. Damn. Yeah, so like, where does that leave us? Because we've got the iFlight Commando, the Jumper T Pro, and the Radio Master Zorro. And in my opinion, they all have issues. I mean, none of them are... The Radio Master, I love the ergonomics, I love the feature set, but the battery life... So maybe the way to go... Phantom, I'm going to tell you what I think the actual answer is in the real world. So what answer is that you put up... How much would it cost you? You'd need molds. You'd need freaking molds for the injection molding. Those molds are going to be $5 or $10 grand a piece, maybe more. I mean, you would need to put up... I'm just going to pull 50 grand out of my butt. And I pulled that number completely out of my butt. If you just wanted, like somebody like Radio Master, to sit down and just make you your perfect controller, and then, like, theoretically, you'd sell it, I feel like you would be 30 to 50 grand to get to prototypes. And if anybody knows better, then you tell me. Now, obviously, that's not feasible. I'm joking when I say that. Phantom, I think the answer is that you look at the Radio Master Zorro. It's going to have AGO1 gimbals released for it, which are damn good gimbals. They're releasing AGO1 gimbals for the T12 and the Zorro. And at that point, the only problem with that radio, in my opinion, is the battery life. So I think you take that radio and you find a way to live with the battery life or solve the battery life, and that's what you do. That's what I would do if I really wanted a game controller radio. That's what I would do. But that's just me. Cheech FPV. Thank you for the for $1.99 super chat. B-Man FPV. B-Man FPV, thank you for $6 in super chats. B-Man says... He's gone. It's fallen off. B-Man says, is spamming with super chats frowned upon? No. If you do want to... By the way, Death FPV, who's not even here anymore, if you really wanted me to answer the question, spend $2 on a super chat, and then I have to answer it. I have to read it. I mean, I don't have to, but I will. But no, you're just going to spam the chat. Crunk says AGO1 are mostly vanity. I mean, there's no debate. Do the AGO1 gimbals make you a better pilot? Probably not. But the AGO1 gimbals are like objectively stiffer, firmer, more they're just objectively better made than the standard gimbals. There's no question. They are. Philip FPV, thank you for a $2 super chat. Apparently, I didn't get to his last super chat. I haven't got there yet. Wait a minute, Philip. Where are you? I don't see a super chat for you. Oh, whoa, I did miss it. Philip, so sorry about that, my friend. Philip FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. I want to build the most efficient, longest flying DJI build possible using lipos and have enough power to get out of its own way. What do you think? I think that building an efficient, long-flying quad and a powerful quad, those are contradictory design goals. And like the most efficient, longest flying quad is going to be not very powerful. So, I mean, it's like saying, do you want something to be inexpensive or do you want it to be high performance? Both. Well, you can't have both. Well, you got to find where those lines are. So, Philip FPV, I would say the first thing I would ask you to do is start with a desired flight time or a desired flight range. So you say, I want to fly for 30 minutes. And then start with a desired weight. Say, I'm going to fly for 30 minutes and I need to carry a payload like a camera of this much. And once you have those design parameters, you can start to then work from there. I need to fly for 30 minutes and I need to carry a GoPro, which weighs 200 grams or less. Now, I can go up to a 7-inch prop. Oh, okay. All right, now you're starting to figure stuff out. But you say it has to be efficient, the most efficient, longest flying, but still has power. Like you gotta actually define those parameters a little bit more closely. Peter Penn, thank you for a $10 super chat. Thanks for your help. I have a question just been bugging me. DJI FPV stock motors, can we change it to something more powerful? Is there software to make any adjustments? Peter Penn, I don't think that the PIDs on the DJI FPV drone are adjustable. I could be wrong on that because the PIDs on other DJI drones are adjustable with hacks, but I don't think anybody has cracked the FPV drone. Tell me if you're wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong about that. Chat. So I wouldn't change those motors because you would have to change the PIDs. Matthew Allen wants to know, have you heard when solid state LiPo batteries are going to be available for RC? Never. That's not a thing. Solid state LiPos are... I'm skeptical that they're really... Like, can you even buy them? Are they even good? You can apparently buy them. Wow, I am surprised. Is this actually a solid-state lithium-ion battery, or is it a lie? Oh, today. All right, today's the day. You can buy them today. What's good about them? It's got a 5C discharge rate. Meh. Higher energy density and doesn't have a risk of explosion. Denser and more compact, more range and less but what is the C rate? That's the question. Yeah. Hindering fast charging and discharging. Bingo. Yeah, so they have low C rate. So they're not good for, they might be good for like long range builds with very large batteries. But if your C rate is 5 or 10 C and you're going to pay $300 for a well, it's a 6S 22,000. It's a big ass battery. But if your C rate is 5 or 10 C, that's not going to work for a lot of stuff. So they're fine for EVs. Yeah, they're fine for EVs where you have giant battery banks. That's fine. Maybe I couldn't say when they'll be more available, but your question is, when will they be available for RC? And the answer is today. You can pay $319 for this Foxtech battery if 5C will do ya. Clearly that's not for quads. It's for like big planes. The answer is today. I'm surprised. I didn't actually know that. I thought the answer was going to be never, because there's so much promise for new battery tech that never manifests. Pathrusim Kefaber, thank you for a $2 super chat. Suggested build list for a beginner. Unfortunately, all of my build tutorials are currently either out of date or discontinued. So I would point you to my Get FPV Xylo budget build, but it's been discontinued because we're updating it and the updated version isn't out yet. So I don't have a short, concise build list for a beginner right this minute. I could redirect you to my fpvknowitall.com website where you could pick stuff, but as a beginner, that's probably not what you want. You probably want like a one-piece kit. So let's look for something like a build kit. Yeah. Who sells a build kit? Who sells a build kit for a quad? Who sells a build kit for a quad? Like a beginner build kit. If not, if mine is out of stock. Drow asks, is there any way to fix gimbal jitter? My T-Pro has a little bit of jitter on the yaw axis. Drow, Blunty noticed the same thing, and that is a common problem with the T-Pro. I don't know if there is a fix. You can decrease the output power of the Express LRS module, and that will help a little bit, but not get rid of it. And you can use deadband to remove deadband from the center, to add deadband to the center. But unfortunately, that's just... So deadband is going to be in the rate profile tab in Betaflight. But unfortunately, that's just a fact of life with that radio. Sorry to say. Here's a great... Oh, thank you guys for suggesting this. I don't know why I didn't think of this. Pathersim Kiafaber, build list for a beginner. What about this? The Rotor Riot solder-free build kit. Yes! Affiliate link that shit. There you go. Solder-free, baby! Good choice. Thank you, guys. Good suggestion. Brandon W. Wells asks, thank you for a $22.22 super chat. I finally finished a 4-year-old build with your first flight controller. I got about 6 flights on it, and the battery slipped out of the strap and ripped the battery pads off the board. What should I go with next? Well, so Brandon, the question I would ask you is, did you use individual ESCs or did you use a 4-in-1? If you used a 4-in-1, then you could pick just about any flight controller. You will have to redo the pinout on the board. I think that Holy Bro flight controllers are compatible, but I'm not sure. I mean, so you'll have to... Wait. You ripped the pads off the ESC. With the flight controller? Oh, right, because that flight controller is... Yeah. I'm going to guess you're using individual ESCs, though. And there's not a lot of choices these days. Somebody asked me recently, he said he had a Holy Bro F7 AIO, and he needed to replace it. Who is still making an all-in-one flight controller for individual ESCs? So the Holy Bro has, I think, not being made anymore. Who's still making an all-in-one flight controller? Let's let the chat catch up and see what they say. Maytech. Let's look. Maytech F7 AI. So the F722 SE. So I remember that the F722 SE had gyro problems. Now maybe that's not true anymore, but it does exist. Unfortunately, a toothpick one won't work. Does Seal Racing still make one? Seal Racing F4S. Wow, F4. Still in stock though. Valid. FetTech makes one. Pass. I think it's low amp. I'm not sure. Is it? Is it a 30 or a 20? Ooh, Flywoo Goku. That's a great one. I forgot all about that. GN745. What? They don't call it an AIO though. No. Flywoo.net. Which is the Flywoo? Drone parts. No. Electronics. Flight controllers. AIO and Evo FC. That's going to be a toothpick though. No, I don't want a toothpick style with built-in ESC. No, that's not what I'm looking for. That's not a... no, I like the toothpick style I don't like with built-in ESC. That's not what this guy's looking for. He's got individual ESCs. And we need an AIO flight controller that will work with individual ESCs. Thank you, North Orange Squad. North Orange Squad, do you have any ideas on flying with Tourette's? Nope, not a one. I don't even know why having Tourette's would affect your ability to fly. Or I'm certainly not an expert on Tourette's, so I'm going to pass on that. But thank you for the donation. Virgin FPV, thanks for €2. Miguel T, thank you for $5. The Tango 2 fail-safes at 20 meters. With all Crossfire receiver, internal antennas looks fine. Refresh the module on Freedom TX for the same result. Do I need a new module? Yes. If you're having Crossfire fail-safes at 20 meters with all your quads, I would try a new module. It's possible that you have interference in your area. It would have to be pretty extreme, though. It would have to be pretty extreme. So it feels like you have a bad module. I would at least try a different module. Virgin FPV, thanks for €2. Not a quad, not a Y6, but some kind of mix. Virgin, I'm not sure. I think you're referring to an earlier message, but I'm not catching what the message is. FPV, not hexacopter. FPV tricopter. Does it have 4 props? Yes, it has 4 props. What are we talking about with Virgin FPV? I don't know what the question is. Nick Burns points out the antenna could be popped off internally. Yes, that's true. So he says the internal antenna looks fine, which makes me think he checked that. But yes, your UFL connector inside the radio could have popped up. I appreciate the people in the chat who are making suggestions for the person who asked about flying with Tourette's. The idea that tics could make it hard for you to fly. I know what Tourette's is. I don't know enough about Tourette's to offer any helpful advice to someone with Tourette's, though. So that's why I pass on that one. Robert Jagravex asks, how do I keep my tiny whoop from walking off the launch platform after arming before the race starts? If you arm and you don't raise the throttle, the tiny whoop should not go anywhere. The motor should not speed up, and the tiny whoop should not go anywhere. So that's the first question, Robert, is why is it? Are you like raising the throttle and trying to preload, and that's when it's walking off the platform? I think you just aren't going to be able to do that with such a light quadcopter. Vroom Vroom Vacuum Cleaner wants to know if I know of any TX16S all-metal faceplates. For the time being, I think the Minshan radio is the only one where you can actually get the all-metal faceplate. But is the Minshan Radio Master actually for sale? MCK is how they're marketing it, I think. I don't think it's available, so... That's the only one I know of. I think the Lumineer one... I think the Lumineer one also... there's a Lumineer Special Edition, which I think it has the metal faceplate as well. Let's look. It does. So I got to tell you guys, yeah, so that's the one to get. Back order, pre-order. It is available. Nice color scheme. I actually really like the color scheme. I will say, I have a TX16S with the metal faceplate. Oh, what's this? Oh, never you mind. What is that? And I have to tell you, I thought I was going to like the metal faceplate. The sharper curves here at the edge, I kind of don't like. It's like not as rounded. Oh, you guys can't see shit. I'm sorry. There we go. The sharper curves here at the edge, they are actually a little less comfortable for me than on the standard faceplate. And the other thing is that the metal is cold. It's cold. And especially if you're somewhere where it's cold. But even now, just taking it out of the drawer, it's room temperature here. Even now, like putting my hands on it, it feels cold against my skin because it's metal. I have to say, I thought I was going to like love it because it's super premium, but I think I actually would prefer the plastic one. So, that's what I would say. Why would you ask that? Why would you ask that? Oh, hang on a second. Oh, I gotta catch up that window. Why would you ask that, Lenny? Like, I'm trying to figure out why you asked that. Is that an ELRS TX16S? Does it look like? Does something on that say ELRS? Oh, well, put that away. So I would take, I would probably not take the metal faceplate personally. But obviously everybody disagrees about that. You know, some people might disagree about that. Lenny says it's just my luck. I just got a 4-in-1. Well, I don't know. I don't really have anything to say about that. The metal faceplate, it is like super nice that it's metal, but the temperature is really weird against your hands, and I think the sharper edge doesn't feel as good as the rounded ones. So I personally would take the yeah, and then Morton Upshot points out that laying it out in the sun in July will make it hot. So the metal is definitely bling, but I like the carbon plastic. Where can we order just the metal faceplate? I have no idea if you even can do that. I don't think you can. Currently, I think the only way to get the metal faceplate is by buying a radio with it. Now, Radio Master has a pretty good track record of making spare parts available, but currently I don't think it's for sale. Drow. Thank you for a $5 super chat. Your videos have helped me get into FPV. Do you think FPV gear will be more available soon when the chip shortage ends? Drow, I have no GD idea. The world is insane. Everything is crazy, and I couldn't even begin to predict. So I couldn't even. Who knows? Like, the chip shortage is going to end, but then apparently this whole situation with Russia and Ukraine potentially could cause shortages because, like, 273% of the world's neon comes from Ukraine, and neon is needed in lasers that are used. I don't know. I have no idea, man. I have no idea. Buy what you can afford. Do your best. Don't hold your breath. That's my advice. See you later, Nick Burns. Thanks for stopping by. You know, when flight controllers were $50 and ESCs were $50, and you blow an ESC for some dumb reason, it hurts. But when they're $90, it hurts more. So, yep. B-Man FPV. This is a fairly common problem. My TX16S randomly goes into emergency mode where I have to turn it off and on again to get it to work. Usually, B-Man, that's a problem with the SD card. I would start by replacing the SD card with like it doesn't have to be expensive, high-performance one. Just buy like a $10 SanDisk 16 gig SD card and see if that fixes it. Yeah. Let's see here. Nick LK. Good question, Nick. What did I do? What did I do? I froze the Nick LK. I would like to teach my 6-year-old to fly. I started him on a simulator already. And he struggles with throttle management. Is there a way to set a throttle up like a cheap Costco type toy drone? Where it auto hovers? I mean, that's not how acro drones work. So, I mean, yeah, you could get him something like a Costco toy drone and it'll auto hover. But if you're teaching him how to fly an acro drone, you just got to work through that. The best thing to do is to get him on a simulator and let him practice in a simulator, and he'll get it in no time. Yeah, he'll pick it up quickly. Just do it in the sim so he doesn't have to constantly keep walking to pick it up. Hank B asks, are you available for FaceTime tech support at some hourly rate? I am. Thank you for a $5 super chat, Hank. I am available at an hourly rate, but my hourly rate for one-on-one time is priced so as to discourage people from taking advantage of it. Because if I help people via chat or email, I can help 200 people a day. And if I get on the phone with you and talk to you for 2 hours, that's, 60 people whose email I didn't answer that day. I don't know how the math works out. So in order to encourage people to take advantage of my free support, I don't charge anybody for chat or email help, but it does mean that, it's going to go a little slower. So in order to encourage people to take advantage of that, the price for hourly one-on-one consulting is, yeah. Now, Lenny points out It's Blunty has an hourly rate. I think his is $60 an hour, and I would highly encourage you to take advantage of that. It's Blunty will get on the phone with you for $60 an hour, I believe, is his rate. And he is as knowledgeable as me in most ways. He just hasn't spent the last 5 years making YouTube videos to try to convince people he's special. And so he charges less. That's how it is. Yeah, he's great. He's great. Yeah, there's lots of people out there who will help you. But if you specifically want me to help you, then it's more money. Philip FPV, thoughts on UAV Tech's last video. I don't know. What was his last video? Let's look. Thoughts on UAV Tech's last video. What did he do? The best flight... Oh, I saw this one. I watched this. The best flight firmware for 2022. I think it's great. This was an amazing video. First of all, whenever somebody does a comparison of FetTech, KISS, and Betaflight, it bugs me a little bit, and I do this too. It bugs me a little bit that they usually test them on defaults or presets. Ideally, someone should tune them optimally. And who better to do that than UAV Tech? So he tuned all of the flight controllers, FetTech, Betaflight 4.3, and KISS Ultra. And then he flew them, and he did maneuvers, and he tested the outcome. And I also I watched this whole video, and I kept waiting for him to be like, I don't know, the word that's coming to my mind is snotty, but that's insulting, and I don't want to talk about Mark that way. But like, I kept waiting for him to show that little chip on his shoulder, and he never did. He just was like, I did the test. Here's the results. It was a perfect video. It was a perfect video, I think. He didn't shit on anything. He just performed the test and showed the results. And the results were what they were. Yeah. I thought all of them flew pretty freaking good. You know? And I just want to go back to what I've said previously, which is that there are lots of reasons to choose a flight controller other than pure flight performance. And so none of them flew like so badly that I would ever question flying them. Because like if you look at the KISS Ultra and the FetTech, do they fly worse than Betaflight 4.1 or 4.2? I don't think so. I don't know. So like there were no deal breakers in that video. Betaflight 4.2 seemed to do the best. Take that for what it's worth. Synthetic says, I still think not everything can be defined by a graph. Yeah, no, you're right, Synthetic. He didn't do it with a graph. He just did it by showing you flight, bounce back and so forth. And there will be people who say, oh, but KISS has this great feel. Well, you can't. You're not going to get that through a YouTube video. It just is what it is. But I really liked this video and thought it was a great example of as objective as science can be when what you're doing involves, like, he tuned the quads, so he tuned them the best he could. But there's some subjectivity there. I thought it was great. And I also thought his general attitude, like sometimes it feels like he has a chip on his shoulder and has it out for, and that's just like not a good feeling, but it's just a, cool, good test. I liked it. It was a great video. Josh House wants to know, what are the benefits of updating Betaflight? I have a recent version and my quad flies great. What's the point? Josh, I got to tell you, if you aren't confident that you'll be able to upgrade Betaflight and set your quad up, and you think your quad flies great, just keep flying it. There's almost nothing that's like an absolute like killer feature. There are some things in Betaflight 4.3 that are killer features, like the motor remapping wizard that will help you set the quad up. But if you are, and there's a lot of things in the PID controller that will make the quad fly better. But if you have a quad and you're happy with how it flies, and you're like, I don't know, should I upgrade? I'm not sure how. Like if you're like, yeah, I'll upgrade, I'll try it, I'll go back to 4.2, it's no problem, I know how to save and restore my configuration. If it's like no big deal, try it out. But if you risk messing up your quad's configuration and not being able to put it back the way it was, just keep flying it on 4.2 and be happy. And then like build another one to try 4.3 on. That's what I would say. Synthetic says, yeah, but can someone that obviously doesn't like Kiss be objective to tune it well? I mean, so I don't think that Mark doesn't like Kiss. I think that Mark is annoyed that people tout Kiss for things that are objectively untestable, or that Mark feels he has data that contradicts it. I don't think Mark has anything against Kiss as a project. And in fact, I think that Mark works with Alex and Felix and talks to them and gives them feedback. I think Mark is just annoyed at the fans I think he's annoyed at the fans. So I absolutely, if Mark says I tuned all of these the exact same, I 100% trust him to have done that. 100%. That he honestly tuned him the best he could using a consistent methodology. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't give him the benefit of the doubt on that. And I don't think he has a personal grudge against the project. And I suspect he's right that Betaflight actually does these things better. So I don't think he has to, if we were to say that Mark is biased and wants Betaflight to win, I don't actually think he needs to cheat for Betaflight to win. But that's just my opinion. But obviously you have to decide for yourself if you think he was objective. I think he's annoyed because he has the data. And so he doesn't need to make up the data to back up his points. He just needs to show you the data that he knows he already has. Codester. Good luck, man. Says, I've been holding out for OLED DJI goggles. Will I die before that happens? Don't hold out. I don't know how long you're going to live. Don't hold out, though. 661FPV says he's a Betaflight dev. I mean, kind of. He wrote some documentation. I don't think he wrote code. Did he? Calabrese221 asks, do you have a tutorial on setting up TBS telemetry on Agent M? I'm not able to connect to my Android even after selecting TBS in the Wi-Fi tab. No. You're trying to do like Wi-Fi telemetry. I have zero experience with that. I'm so sorry. I have zero experience with that. Kent J asks, have you gotten a chance to fly your Cinema yet? Curious to see if you think it was worth the hassle to build over a Squirt. I don't think I would build a Squirt today, Kent J. I think that Cinewhoop frames have come a long way since the Squirt, especially because the action cameras they're carrying are heavier. But I think that I don't think that the Cinema is worth the hassle to build. Although I haven't flown it yet, so I could be wrong. My gut feeling, having flown other quads like the ProTech and the Cinego, the GepRC Cinego, yeah, 3.5. Having flown those other ones, I'm skeptical that the hassle is going to be worth it. As soon as I break anything on that quad, I'm going to cuss a lot when I have to go in and fix it. Matthew Doherty. This is this at first glance, some people are going to think this is a dumb question, but it's a dumb, smart question. Matthew Doherty asks, why do we need to mess with all this filtering stuff? Can't they just limit the gyro data to 100 hertz or something and be done with it? So, Matthew, here's the thing. Yeah, you could just have like a brick wall filter at 50 hertz and just crush everything below 50 hertz, minus 60 dB. Here's the problem. That adds latency. There is always a trade-off with filtering that adds latency to the signal. And here's a great example of why that is. I want you to think about a average let's think about a 10 sample average. Okay. A 10 sample, an averaging filter is a very simple low pass filter, which is what Betaflight's doing. It doesn't use averaging, but averaging is easy for everybody to understand. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 10 numbers, 10 samples, and then you're going to spit out the average of those 10 samples. You follow me? Okay, here we go. Hang on. Let's, oh, I got an idea. Why don't you just... Oh, I got an idea. We're going to open Excel. No, I haven't flown it yet, Synthetic. I haven't flown it yet. I've been very busy. It has not been a priority to fly it, to be honest with you. I've had a lot of other stuff on my table. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. Sample number 1, 2, 3, etc. Can I just bada bing? No. Can I just not continue downward? No? How about this? No? Okay, screw you. 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, this is bad Excel. Now can I do it? It won't go all the way down, will it? How about this? Okay. Well, screw you. Okay, so here's the sample numbers. Here's the value. And here is the 10 sample average. All right? So, the first value is, I'm just going to pick a random number. Doesn't matter. Okay, what is the 10 sample average of that? Nothing. Because we don't have 10 samples yet. Okay? You got a 10 sample average yet? Nope. How about now? How about now? No. The samples are coming in. We don't have a 10 sample average yet. We cannot have any output from this algorithm until we have 10 samples. Now we have 10 samples, and we can output the average of those 10 samples. Okay? And now, here comes 11 samples. And now we're going to put the average of 11 to 2. Okay? Etc. So now we keep going. And what I want you to see is that there is a 10 sample delay between the input of this algorithm and the output. Okay, so this low pass filter has a 10 sample delay. How long is that in real time? It depends on the hertz, right? It depends on the sampling rate. My point is, every filter comes with delay, and delay makes your quad fly worse. So if we were to say, I'm just going to use a 60 dB low pass above 50 hertz, you could do that, and you would add a shitload of delay and the quad would fly terribly. So there is this balance between having enough filtering to get rid of the noise, but the least amount of filtering we can tolerate to keep the quad flying well. So that's why we have to mess with filtering. Well, why don't you just not filter at all? Well, because then there'd be a bunch of motor noise, and you'd burn your motors. J.R. Bosch says, is there a way to have more filtering with less delay? I mean, J.R. Bosch, you kind of can't get something for nothing. There are different types of filters which have different trade-offs in their performance. But the short version is that you can't get something for nothing, and there's always a little bit of delay. The Betaflight devs have tried to play with different types of filters. Like, you could have a steep filter higher up or a shallow filter lower down. Which one works better? I mean, they're constantly playing with these things. Physical filtering also has a delay, 507RC. Physical filtering has a delay. When you put silicone gummies on your flight controller, the vibrations move through the silicone gummies at the speed of sound in that medium. And that is a delay that's added. Physical filtering also adds delay. A faster processor won't overcome the delay synthetic. The processing delay is quite minimal compared to the filter delay. So, Philip FPV wants an explanation of Betaflight filters and how they work. I gotta say, once again, I go back to this video from Chris Rosser, and I believe he has a fantastic PID term, P term, D term, I term, feed forward, how to tune D gains. Does he talk about filtering? Oh, he doesn't. Does he talk about filtering? That must have been in a previous video. Damn. Where's the previous video? Part 3, filtering. So here's the video I would suggest if you want to know more about Betaflight filtering. And Philip, I know you asked me for the explanation, but honestly, this is such a good filter, such a good video. I really just am going to refer you to that one. The short version is that Betaflight has several different low-pass filters. Let's look at a flight controller. Let's see if I can make a short version of it. So if we go to the PID tuning tab and we go to filter settings, there's low-pass filters on the gyro and low-pass filters on the D term. And their goal is to remove noise by sort of rolling off the high end. Anything above a certain frequency gets attenuated. These filters stack on top of each other, so they basically add together. And they are dynamic filters, which means that the low-pass value goes up and down, I think depending on the throttle position, but I'm not sure it's that simple. I think that's how it originally was, may have changed. So the idea is that when the motor RPM goes up, the low pass of the filter also goes up, which further reduces delay. There's a filter on the gyro data that goes into the PID loop, and then an additional filter on the D term, because the D term amplifies noise. The D term is a derivative and amplifies noise, and so you need additional filtering on the D term to get rid of the noise that it brings out. See? Couldn't be simpler. It's not that simple. How did the filtering actually stop the vibrations? J.R. Bosch. I mean, it filters out the high frequency vibration. So here's what I want you to think about, J.R. Bosch. Think about music. Have you ever heard your neighbor's music coming through the floor? And all you hear is the bass, right? The walls of your apartment are acting as a low-pass filter. They are filtering out the high frequencies and the mid frequencies of the music and only letting through the low frequencies. Now, don't worry about why is that? It doesn't matter. When you hear bass coming through your apartment wall, that is exactly what the Betaflight filters are doing to the gyro data that's coming in in the flight controller. And the reason they're doing that is that your motor RPMs, the vibrations from the motors, are up around 300 hertz or higher for a 5-inch quad. Whereas the actual movements of the quad that your flying of the quad are around 20 hertz or lower. So by using a low pass filter, we get rid of those motor vibrations, which we don't want to try to compensate for them. And we only see the actual movements of the quad. Now, why do we want to get rid of the motor frequencies? Because the PID controller is going to try to compensate for any external movement of the quad. If you have the stick centered and something bumps the quad and causes it to tip, the PID controller will try to counteract that. If you deflect the stick and the quad begins to spin, but it doesn't spin fast enough, the PID controller will try to accelerate it, and so on. So the PID controller is trying to make the quad's movement match your stick movement. And all of those vibrations from the motors, your stick isn't vibrating at 300 hertz. So if we didn't filter out the motor vibrations, the PID controller would try to compensate for all those motor vibrations. And of course, it can't do that. And it would cause a lot of problems. So we want to filter out all the high frequency stuff because we don't want the PID controller trying to respond to it. And we only want the PID loop seeing the low frequency stuff. Abraham says, so it reduces the PID controller trying to respond to the vibes. It doesn't get rid of the vibes. It just prevents the PID controller from making them worse. No, it gets rid of the vibes. The PID controller doesn't see the vibrations. They are attenuated by the filtering, and the PID controller never sees them. MB Hunter, thank you for a $10 donation. I don't know the answer. Do you know if you can bring your own golf cart for Rotor Ride in May? I'll be getting a campsite and want to bring my golf cart in the toy hauler. I think that you can, because I'm pretty sure other people brought golf carts in previous years. But what you really need to do is you need to ask somebody from the event to make sure. I can't tell you the answer to that. What's the yaw low pass? Asks Kenny Kobe. The yaw low pass is just a specific filter on the yaw axis. Let me remind myself. Where's the yaw low pass? Is that... Yeah, so the yaw low pass filter is a separate filter for gyro data on the yaw axis only. And to tell you the truth, like you can see it's off by default. They think you don't need it. And I'm not sure when you would want to turn it on, to be honest. Like, I don't know. Dominic Clifton. He's in the chat. When would you want to turn yaw low pass on, Dominic? What do you think? Let's see. The chat will catch up and he'll answer. Virgin FPV, thanks for a €2 super chat. If my new frame flies better, I'll send it to you. Read in the Wind. I apologize. I've missed your super chat. Read in the Wind asks, first of all, thank you for a $5 super chat. I flashed Betaflight 4.3 RC with the LQ OSD, DJI OSD LQ drops from 7100 to RSSI DBM in like 20 feet. So read in the Wind, here is what's happening. The RSSI DBM is a warning that your RSSI DBM is below a certain threshold, but that threshold is really high. I run into that problem in the video where I set up the RSSI and LQ. I just suggest you go in and turn that warning off. So what's happening is when the warning kicks in, let's go to the OSD tab. When the warning kicks in, it replaces the RSSI. So just go in and turn off this warning, and that'll stop that. Or you can, where's the threshold? It's in the, it's not, it's in the CLI, isn't it? Well, that's dumb. Yeah, I would say just turn off the RSSI DBM warning so you don't see that warning anymore. Because I think it's just, I think it's probably bogus. Just watch your LQ and watch your LQ and you'll be fine. Dominic Clifton doesn't remember. Ciati says he thinks Mark Spatz recommended turning the yaw low pass on. But why, Ciati? Does anybody know why? Let's see. Decodester, thank you for a $2 super chat. What gift do I get if the DJI goggles come out a month later with OLEDs? I don't know about that. B-Man FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. What if I already swapped out the SD card and I'm still getting emergency mode? Then it's a hardware issue, B-Man, I'm sorry to say. If it's not the SD card, then it's a hardware issue, and I would have to go back to Radio Master and ask them for service. It could be a bad SD card reader in your, but if you've swapped the SD card, I don't know what else you could do. You could open it up and you could just like look and see if you see any like busted, crimped wires or pinched wires or something. But in general, I don't really know what you could do at that point other than go back to Radio Master and say, my radio is effed up. Daniel Harmon says, I broke another transmitter switch today. Why don't they make them stronger? I mean, how strong do you want them to be? I mean, they're tiny little metal stalks sticking out. If you really care about that, get a radio like the TBS Tango 2 with flush switches. Why don't they make them with threaded levers? I mean, do you know? So here's the thing. I once looked at upgrading the switches on my radio. I'm not going to go look it up. I looked for the equivalent switch because Radio Master doesn't make those switches, right? You know that, right? Radio Master just buys those switches. They're commodity electronics. So I looked at upgrading the switches on my radio. How many switches are on the radio? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 switches. Okay. I looked for like a high quality switch over on digikey.com and they were like $15 a piece. And I was like, okay, never mind. I'm not going to do that. Because guess what? Those expensive switches will still break when you drop the radio on them. They're going to break. So just, don't drop your radio. That's what I would say. I know, that's a shitty answer. Don't bump your monitor with them. Yeah. Justin A. wants to know, what does boot grace mean in Betaflight? So boot grace, do I have a video on boot grace? I don't think I do. Boot grace means that you have tried to arm too soon after power on. Shut up. What is this? What is this? 5 days ago, live support. Not that live. Okay. I don't want that. Block. Lame. So after 5 seconds, you should be able to arm. That's what I would say. I don't think you should be able to get boot grace after 5 seconds of power on. You may need to cycle your arm switch, though. Off then on. Virgin FPV still dropping hints. As long as you're super chatting, be my guest. It's got 4 motors and 4 props, but 3 points of thrust. Okay, so it's a Y4. Yeah, okay. It's a Y4? Okay. It's cute. Let's see. I reviewed the Dragonfly. Not images. I can't find it. Oh, well. There we go. Yeah, like this. Good luck with that. I'm not sure there's a real big advantage of the Y4. It's interesting. I'd have to be convinced there was a big advantage for it compared to a quad. Thank you, Daniel Harmon, for complimenting my idea to replace my Radiomaster screws with caphead screws. I think Radiomaster does that from the factory now. Wild FPV asks, for those who've been flying for a while, how do you know when your battery's dead when flying a quad without an OSD? 2 ways, Wild FPV. Number 1, you have telemetry, and you set up an audio alert on your radio to give you a warning when your voltage is low, or number 2, you have a timer. And you just have a 3-minute timer. Garter Rotor, did I miss your super chat? I see. And Cheech FPV, I missed you too. Apologies, guys. Cheech FPV, what major changes are coming to your new JBF7? USB-C connector, plugs for all inputs, and pit switch has finally been fixed. It didn't work on the other one. We took it out because there was a problem with the board design. So it'll have a pit switch and what else? Barometer on board. Those are some major changes. Wild FPV, a beeper would work. Beep on low voltage. It's acceptable. Carter Rotor, thank you for a $10 super chat. What causes an audible honk noise on a 5-inch quad at 35 to 50% throttle? First thing I did was put new motors on it. It still persists. Did you try changing the props? I feel like you've got something going on with your props that is resonating at that frequency. So I would change props. JR Bosch, it will have 2 gyros. It will still have dual gyros, correct. It will not have a Bosch gyro. It's an ICM gyro. Cake Manx, did I miss yours? Cake Manx. What did yours say? I don't see you there, man. It's not my day for super chats. Cake Manx, I don't think I see a super chat from you, man. Dominic Clifton going back to the source code to figure out what the yaw low pass is for. Additional yaw filter when yaw axis too noisy. Okay, yeah. I mean, that is when you would use a filter. All right. What's a good flight controller for large quads? Asks AU Rabbit. You'd want a flight controller with 8 motor outputs because a large quad is probably going to be an octo or a hex. The new T-Motor Pro F7 has 8 motor outputs in the ESC plug. Of course, Dominic Clifton's SP Racing flight controllers can have up to 12 D-Shot motor outputs, some of them. I think I would be looking for 8 motor outputs, though. Riet 9, all the pads on the JBF7 are still accessible with all the plugs, yes. Oh, version FPV says it is not a Y4. We shall see. We shall see. Why don't you give both the 20x20 and the 30x30 mounting option on your board, like the FetTech flight controllers? Because then I would have to design the whole board to fit on a 20x20. That's just a 20x20 flight controller with extended ears. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Say Yay points out that the Brain FPV Radix is popular in the X-Class world, but I don't know why. Well, I don't know why, but you're right that it is. Steady Eddie FPV wants to know if I will be at I.O. this year. I can't say for sure, but I wouldn't bet on it. Whenever I.O., I have nothing against I.O., just whenever I.O. comes up, I've usually just come back, feels like I just came back from Rampage. And I'm like, yeah. And then people are like, I.O. is happening! And I'm like, Thank you, Dave T, for a $5 super chat. Dave T. My daughter's Roma F5 V2 with an EP1 ELRS receiver and an X9D Plus with an ES24TX has telemetry drop regularly. LQ remains greater than 98. Dave, change the telemetry interval in the Lua script. Instead of like 1/128, change it to like the next one down, 1/96. Whatever it is. Yep. Especially if you are running at a lower hertz, you may need a faster update interval to keep the telemetry coming in. It is about 10 minutes to the end of the stream. Siati reminded me that by posting a link to his stream. Siati is going to be streaming at 10 p.m. You guys can jump over there at the end of my stream. He's going to be doing some giveaways, Tiny Whoop testing plans, and a Q&A. Dave T says, I've tried all the settings for interval. Didn't seem to make a difference. Are you on the latest firmware, Dave? The thing is, telemetry lost. I'm not sure what would cause that. And the Happy model ES24TX is a good one. I got to wonder, Jai Smith, who better to answer that question than Jai Smith? Jai Smith says, try 1-bit mode. The telemetry inverter on the X9D is not that great. Okay, so try 1-bit mode. So here's where you can do that. Why can I not find this wiki page? I don't understand. I've searched for this and it's literally in my history. I don't know why I can't find it. It's in the hardware screen. Don't do that. Can I just see? No, I don't want the mod. There we go. 1-bit mode. So it's in the hardware screen and you change the sampling mode to 1-bit. And he says that it could potentially improve that. Virgin FPV, the more you build this up, the more I, at a very basic gut level, want to dislike it. So stop building it up. Stop building it up. I'm almost certainly, I'm almost certainly, the thing is, here's what you don't know about me. I hate everything new, almost. So chances are good that if you've invented this new quadcopter frame, the first thing I'm going to think when I see it is all the things I don't like about it, which makes me a good reviewer because I just pick things apart. But the more you sit here in the chat saying, oh, it's going to be so good, you're not going to believe it, the more I want to roll my eyes. And so the best thing you can do is to just stop promoting it and making it seem like it's the best thing ever. Because it like probably isn't. Anyway. Okay. All right, that's such a hater thing to do. You're excited about his frame. Why am I on this screen? What was I going to do on this screen? 1-bit mode. That's right. Okay. Now I will build it with more passion. Okay, great. Thank you. I'm glad I didn't squash your passion. The world needs people who are passionate. The world also needs people who hate everything. So you be passionate and I'll hate everything, and then maybe we'll make something great in the meantime. Thank you for all the super chats, Virgin FPV. The least I can do, you've left me, probably $15 in super chats, is not like shit on your dream. There you go. Like, just show me the thing. Just show it to me. Don't spend the whole live stream telling me how great it is. Because the longer you spend telling me how great it's going to be, the more pressure is on me when I finally see it. But if you just show it to me and you're like, hey, what do you think of this? And you're not going to show it to us. You're not going to give us a picture. You're just going to spend the whole live stream telling us how great it is, but not going to show it to us. Fair enough. Oh, we're 5 minutes to the end of the stream. How can you show it? Virgin FPV. Yeah, absolutely. You want to show it? I'd love to see it. Email me. Email me a link to an imager or something. JoshuaBardwell@gmail.com. There's 5 minutes till the end of the stream. Oh my God. We'll see if I get it. JoshuaBardwell@gmail.com. Email it. All right, I think I'm caught up on all of the super chats. It's going to be another day at the range scenario where no one, he doesn't actually send anything. All right. All right, well, we are getting close to the end of the stream. Guys, thank you so much for coming out. I really do appreciate you guys. I hate everything, but I don't hate you. I don't hate you guys. I'm glad you're here because I can talk to you for a few hours. I feel like you really get me. Most of you. Thanks to everybody who left super chats. Thanks to everybody who commented. Thanks to everybody who watched. I will see you tomorrow for the news at 6 p.m. FPV News with JB and It's Blunty. And I'm very happy to report for anybody who is keeping up that... Fabio, my editor, is back at work. Good. Country being invaded by Russia. My priority is that he's still editing my videos, so I'm very pleased. I'm pleased that he is in a place where he feels like life is normal enough that he can edit videos. So glad to hear that, and hopefully that stays that way, but who knows? Fingers crossed for him, and fingers crossed for everybody. Still no emails here with this. Wade Walters, thanks for a $2 super chat. What's considered a clean build? A build that it doesn't have a lot of excess vibration, not a lot of loose parts, loose screws, that kind of thing. So it doesn't have a lot of vibration is the takeaway. Now, what makes up a clean build? Like I could say all your screws are tight. Your motors don't have beat up bearings. Your props are new and not imbalanced. There's nothing touching your flight controller. Your flight controller is soft mounted. These are all things that make a clean build. But, you know, they're not the only things. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it. If I get that email, maybe I'll send it to Siati and he can show it on his stream. But in the meantime, that is going to do it for tonight. Thank you guys so much for coming out. And have a great stream, Siati. Good night, everybody.